I mean, listen, Stefanski's not a bad choice either. I mean, he had 257 starting quarterbacks this year, and
Yeah.
you know, he made it work. And I would have picked Ryan's, but you know what? Either way, I mean, it's all good.
Yeah, so I've just got the award winners for the night so far that have been announced. Scrolling on the bottom there. So offensive rookie of the year started off the night. It went to CJ Stroud. To that,
Yeah.
that to me makes total sense. And that's a guy that had 2 Lions in there.
So,
There was no doubt in my mind about this. CJ Stroud was the offensive rookie of the year.
I agree. I mean, just the way he came into the NFL, and I'm including myself, I'm guilty. I thought, why didn't they maybe start Davis and Mills for a little bit, kind of work in CJ Stroud? But this is why I'm here, and D'Amico's on the sidelines. So, they knew what they were doing, and it's well deserved. I mean, the only other you could make an argument for Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
He came out of nowhere and really helped vitalize that Rams offense. It's made it better, and it kind of questions now what you do with Cooper Kupp down the line. Maybe you got your new number one already and Nacua. So, but yeah, CJ Stroud is no doubt deserves it.
Yeah, and to me, like, even though he was an Ohio State guy, obviously I'm a Michigan fan. I thought far and away CJ Stroud was the best quarterback in this class. I didn't think it was overly close. Now, I I did not think he was going to be that good. Nobody, if you said he was going to be that good, you're a liar. Because he was a top 10 quarterback, arguably, this year. If you look at games away from everything, that quarterback stat line is in the top 10 without a doubt. And that's missing a couple games as well. So, hats off to Stroud. And that's not the last time we'll be talking about the Texans tonight. They had another award come up. Unfortunately, I wasn't happy to see this one. The moment of the year was the next one. It was Dak Prescott evading multiple Lions and throwing a 92-yard touchdown to CeeDee Lamb, I think it was. I mean, it made sense. It was a phenomenal play. And Derek Barnes, if you just remember to rap when you tackle, we don't have this moment. But it is what it is. Phenomenal play. Congrats to CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott as well on that award. Phenomenal play.
Hey, that's their Super Bowl, Yep. You guys made it past the Cowboys in the playoffs, so you get the last laugh.
Yeah. Don't know who this is, but thank you for tuning in. Said happy Thursday.
Oh, that is Miss Nicole. Lady Show, yeah.
Thank you for tuning in, Nicole. Happy Thursday to you too. They killed it earlier with their show.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Glad you could tune in.
Yep.
All right. Next award we got here, Defensive Player of the Year. Ben, like we were saying before, it could have gone to any 5 of these guys. I mean, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, Deron Bland. They were all extremely deserving of this award.
Absolutely. Myles Garrett ended up winning it. Rightfully so. I mean, again, Alex, like you're saying, any one of these 5 could make an argument. The Cowboys had one of the best defenses in football, except for week 19. Sorry, Janae. That is what it is. But yeah, Myles Garrett and Max Crosby. I mean, where would the Raiders be without Max Crosby right now? They'd be like
they'd probably be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Yeah, they'd be a 3-4 win team. But Crosby, I mean, I know I'm in Vegas, but I got to feel happy for Crosby. He said it. If you don't promote Pierce, you need to look for a trade. And they promoted Pierce. I mean, I think that defense is going to get better next year. And Max Crosby, he's on a mission, man. This guy's just so people need to see more of him on a national spotlight.
Yeah,
he is a very good player.
Yeah, that was one where, as a fan outside of the Raiders, I was like, please hire someone other than Pierce. So he asked for a trade. Come on, please, please, please. Maybe we could have a shot at him. But yeah, Myles Garrett.
Buckswood. Sorry.
I'd be like, give up whatever it takes draft pick wise, put him alongside Hutchinson and just let him cook, please. But not going to happen. They hired the right coach and kept Crosby in-house by keeping Pierce. Comeback player of the year is just being shown now.
DeMar.
I mean, yeah. It's going to be. Although it was interesting, the betting favorite in the last week or so has actually been Joe Flacco. So I do still think, now, to be fair, it's actually a decent transition to this award because Jalen Carter was the heavy favorite for Defensive Rookie of the Year the entire year, and it went to Will Anderson instead. Double Rookie of the Year awards for a team again this year, going to the Texans, the 2nd and 3rd overall picks. Another guy that was very deserving, and this was a whole group again that was extremely deserving.
Absolutely. I mean, Will Anderson, like I said, the Texans.
Oh my God!
What?
Joe Flacco's your comeback player of the year. They gave it to Flacco.
Wow. I guess that's better than Hamlin. No offense to DeMar Hamlin. The story's incredible, but come on, man. I'm not being biased, but Baker, come on. I mean,
to me, it should have been one of those guys, those 3 guys that played the entire year at least.
Baker won a playoff game too.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Now, it is decided before the playoffs. Just so.
Okay, did Joe Flacco have 158.3 passer rating?
I knew you were going there. No. And Baker. To be fair, like, to me, and I said this when we predicted these a couple weeks back, if you tell me Stafford wins it, Tua wins it, or Baker wins it, I'm like, okay, I'm good. Any 3 of those guys, they all balled out this year. They all, in a different way, had that comeback. And realistically, any of those 3 won it, and I'm good. To me, I think you should have to play more than 5 games.
Yeah.
That the Flacco played. I think you should play 10 plus.
Fair.
As a prerequisite for the award. Because it's comeback player of the year, not comeback player of the month. But that's neither here nor there.
Now, I will say this though, Alex. I think Tua lost this award final few weeks of the season. He didn't play his best football. That blowout in Baltimore, and then on the national stage against Buffalo on Sunday night to determine the 2 seed, and then the playoffs. He didn't play that well. I think that really, he might have had a chance, but I think his performance in the last few games of the regular season kind of dropped him down.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that, and I mean, for me personally, and I've got a buddy that's a massive Dolphins fan, and I told him this exact same thing. I think the Dolphins got to get tougher. They got to get more physical, because they got to lock down the 1 seed early, because if you allow Miami to play in that warm weather throughout the playoffs, then they can play that finesse track meet style ball and still succeed. But when you got to go to Baltimore, to Kansas City, to Buffalo, to Pittsburgh, to these cold weather franchises, that style of ball does not work in January.
True. And that's very true. And who's to say they would even if they got the 1 seed, Alex, would they win that game, in the second round? Because I just think Miami did not play their best football the last few weeks of the year. They got exposed. All year long, Alex, and I think I've said this a couple of times on the show, is they're like that. They're like a fake diamond. It looks good, but when you really look deep into it, they're not as good as you think. And I think they only had 1 win against a team over 500 all year.
Yeah,
I think it was Dallas too, and that was on the last.
That was the only one.
Yeah, so you're right. They got to get tougher. Didn't they get a defensive coordinator though? Didn't they?
They got Anthony Weaver, the assistant head coach from the Ravens, a guy that was getting head coach interviews.
There you go.
I think it's a phenomenal hire.
Yeah, because that's Baltimore's defense, phenomenal. You bring that toughness to, like you said, that Miami needs. And for McDaniel, I mean, he's got to get like you said, a tougher mindset. Even McDaniel, players reflect their coaches. McDaniel's that kind of like that. easygoing type guy. I don't know if you watched the Hard Knocks in season with the Dolphins, but he just
I'm
seemed
like halfway
too
through.
finesse. He just seemed
Yep.
too players coach type. They need a tougher mentality, and this is a good hire. Weaver's a good hire to transition into being more of a physical team, at least on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Just some reactions here. Hamlin will take it. Oh, wow.
Bull spit.
Not supposed to say bull spit, but bullshit.
That's Mayfield not getting in. I agree. I mean, come on, 158.3. Come
on. Johnny said, unlike Scott, though, I can annoy you guys on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in, Johnny. MVP next up.
Okay.
Is it really already? Holy. Did they do the assistant coach of the year, Johnny? Did I miss that one? Maybe that's one that's announced before the show.
Let's as an American, let's salute our good friend from the ship, Mr. Alec.
Oh yeah, what's going on, Alec? Thank you for tuning in, man.
And he's now pro AEW, not pro WWE.
Yeah, he made that pretty clear.
But good to see you tonight, Mr. Schomburg. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, he said he didn't catch it, just Stefanski. I will take a look for that one. See if there's... And there we go. Alec said, send the WWE to the effing sun.
I don't know, after tonight's press conference,
yeah.
Back in, but.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if the MVP's up next, then obviously Salute to Service Award. So there's probably a couple that they're just going to slide in before.
Did they do the Man of the Year yet?
No, that's always the last one. They do that after the MVP.
Oh, okay.
That'll close the show. Assistant coach. Maybe if I could spell assistant right. Might help. Yeah, so the next award we had was Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski. To me, yeah, you can make a case for him. You can make a case for D'Amico Ryans. You can make a case for Campbell. Who were the other two?
Wasn't it John Harbaugh?
John Harbaugh, yeah. And is it Tomlin? Did Jim Schwartz win Assistant Coach of the Year? Yeah, he did. Jim Schwartz won Assistant Coach of the Year.
Oh, okay.
So the Browns cleaned house. They got the Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, and Assistant Coach of the Year. Congrats to the Cleveland Browns. Holy.
Yeah, no, they had a phenomenal year considering the circumstances, with the injuries. And, it makes you wonder, though, Alex. So I'm sounding like Johnny here, Alex. You're stuck with Watson, but, man, he was not a factor this year. Like, they played better.
Yeah, without
kind of him. In spite of him, more than, with him. Just my opinion. So
yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And Joe Flacco, they asked him before the show if he's still planning to come back and play, and his response was that he'd like to come back and play, just doesn't know if someone's going to come calling.
Boy, if I'm the Browns, I'd think about bringing him back. I mean,
yeah,
because I'm not sure about Watson. I mean. Forget about all the, I mean, you can't forget, but about the off the field crap.
Talk strictly on the field with this, yeah.
On the field, though, he's not been healthy.
Yeah.
And you're paying this guy, what, $250 million, all of it guaranteed? Yeah. And he's not out there all the time. I mean, you really got to consider bringing Flacco back for 1 year at least. Just, sign him as the backup. Because you just never know. I mean, if Watson can play a full season. I mean, at least if you have Flacco there, you know what you got, and he knows the team, the offense well enough now that if you do lose Watson, then you're fine with the backup, and because you got a great defense already, you don't have him do too much. So I would consider it if I'm the Browns. Resign him.
My only question to that is, does somebody, especially one of these teams that's going after one of these rookie quarterbacks, does somebody outbid the Browns for Joe Flacco? Did Flacco price himself out of Cleveland?
Could. That's very possible. I mean, and that's been the story all year, Alex, is the backup quarterbacks. Look at Gardner Minshew in Indianapolis. I mean, he, for what he was, I mean, played pretty darn well. I mean, you got to give him credit for that. I guess we got our MVP.
Mr. Lamar Jackson, second MVP of his career.
No surprise.
Yeah,
absolutely. Great season. The new offensive coordinator, I think, helped with that. Made let Lamar Jackson be Lamar Jackson. That's really the key. And ironically, the former OC of the Ravens, cover your ears, Johnny, because I'm about to say it. Greg Roman is now the OC for the LA Chargers, which is like, what? It's a Harbaugh guy. It's a Harbaugh guy. I get it. He's worked with both guys. So we got Justin Herbert. I mean, he can run when he has to, but I'd rather him be in the pocket because he's a great thrower. I mean,
I think back to how they used Alex Smith though.
Yeah,
they were very successful with him. I mean, but they were very successful with Smith till he got hurt, and Herbert's a much better version. Like, he's much better than Alex Smith. So
absolutely.
And even though Greg Roman doesn't like to get wide receivers for his offense, I bumped the mic there. You already have wide receivers in that offense, so you don't need to go out and get guys. And I could see maybe Brock Bowers at 5, because you've seen Greg Roman offenses love to use
the tight end,
the tight end position.
Mark Andrews in Baltimore. San Francisco.
And even, Delaney Walker and Vernon Davis.
Yep.
Yeah, so I can see Brock Bowers very much being in play there. And Gerald Everett's a free agent, so they don't currently have a tight end. So
that would be a solid pickup for the Chargers if they get Everett.
Yeah, if they could bring him back, and then you don't have to use the 5th pick on a guy like Bowers. You could use it on another tackle or a corner or somebody for that defense for Jesse Minter.
Right. The Chargers have a lot of options. They got to lower the cap, but they definitely. Harbaugh's going to build it to his own, his own form, his own style, and I can't wait to see it. It's going to be very interesting to see how he does with this Chargers team. I expect good results. I mean, he's been away long enough now to where, okay, this is a new start. This is fresh again. And I think he's got something to prove. That, hey, I got the national title. Now I need to get that Lombardi trophy in the next 3-4 years. Why? Especially when you have your franchise quarterback Justin Herbert. So it'd be interesting to see.
Well, franchise quarterback, franchise left tackle, cornerstone pieces all over that defense. There's a lot to work with already there, and a top 5 pick. So I expect right around 500 year 1. I don't think it's a crazy turnaround year 1, but then year 2, I think they win the division, competing for a championship type team.
Now, he is in a very, very tough division because you got Mahomes, you got Sean Payton's there with the Broncos, and then Antonio Pierce with the Raiders. If they can just get a quarterback and maybe another defensive end and secondary help.
Yeah, I was going to say they need a secondary as well.
Maybe more than the front 7. Get the secondary help. This team they're going to be dangerous too. So he's walking right into the fire. So that division, what I thought should have been the last couple years, as far as being the best in football, it's probably going to be the best in the next year or two.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and for me, looking at that division, I do think that if the Chiefs win this year, that Reed walks off into the sunset. I think he walks away. And then we've heard time and time again that a certain Kelsey brother will not play for a head coach other than Andy Reid. So I think if Reid retires, Kelsey retires as well.
Well, yeah, and the only other head coach he'll be playing for would be Taylor Swift. So she calls all the plays and all the shots.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see. Just a couple more awards here. I'm going to bring it down so I can actually look at them. We already talked Christian McCaffrey, Offensive Player of the Year. Again, well deserved.
Yeah.
The Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award went to Bobby Wagner. And the other ones we called as they came: Joe Flacco, Comeback Player of the Year; Jim Schwartz, Assistant Coach of the Year; MVP, Lamar Jackson, and we're still waiting on the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. So while we're waiting for that, I'll flip it over, and scrolling across the bottom now is your Hall of Fame class of 2024. Dwight Freeney, Andre Johnson, Randy Gradishar, Patrick Willis, Steve McMichael, Devin Hester, and Julius Peppers. What are your thoughts on this class, Ben?
Pretty damn good class, I gotta say. Freeney, yeah, for sure. Andre Johnson, I thought maybe wouldn't get in, but he did. Kudos to him. Gradishar, good one. Patrick Willis is a great one, I think. Part of that Niners team with Harbaugh, first time he was, an NFL head coach for the Niners. Those teams were really good. Let's see who else got in. Devin Hester, that was a well-deserved. One of the best special teams player of all time. Steve McMichael, I think that was long overdue. I know he has his health issues and stuff, so I'm glad he's going to be able to see that still, get that honor. And then Julius Peppers, without a doubt, is first ballot. I mean, Carolina, Green Bay, Chicago. I mean, he was phenomenal. And I'll bring this up too. Julius Peppers, former basketball player at the University of North Carolina,
Yeah.
So, this guy was probably one of the best athletes I've ever seen defensively. Just really phenomenal. So, yeah, this is a very good class here.
One, you look at what Peppers did, just two things to throw out here. The only people ahead of him on the all-time sacks list: Bruce Smith, Reggie White, Kevin Green. Julius Peppers is fourth all-time in sacks, and he is the only player in the entire history of the NFL to have at least 150 sacks and have 10 or more interceptions. The only player ever to have that. Julius Peppers, absolutely no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer. To me, it was him, and then, what are the other four spots for modern finalists? Like, I personally also thought Antonio Gates was going to get in. That was kind of surprising to me, but
I think he does
in this list here. It's like who do you push out? Because it's Dwight Freeney, Andre Johnson, Patrick Willis, Devin Hester, and I know you kind of said your pick already for Andre.
I did, and I like Andre. I think he is a Hall of Famer eventually, but I would have put Gates in first. I just think what he did for that Chargers team, especially when they were in San Diego, him and Phillip Rivers. I mean, that was a good 1-2 punch. And that was really, Alex, think about this. This was when the league was starting to go use the tight end a little bit more, offensively. Because tight ends were always known to be, pass blockers and stuff. But when the defensive rules started changing, you could use that tight end in the middle of the field and use their athleticism. I mean, Antonio Gates, like I said with Julius Peppers, he was another former basketball player out of college, played at Kent State, I believe it was. So, and that Chargers team, man, I got to tell you, if if it wasn't for Brady and those damn Patriots, man. Think about this. The Chargers, it was the 2006 team, I believe. That's when you had LT, you had Phillip Rivers, Antonio Gates, you had Sean Merriman. I mean,
Yeah.
they had a team on both sides of the ball, and all it takes is that one game, and that was it for their season. I think they could have been a Super Bowl team, but Gates was very good for his time in San Diego / LA. One of the best tight ends I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the list of tight ends he played in the league the same time as
Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah. And then even some of these younger guys, the Gronks, the Kelsey, they're that total shift from strictly a blocking tight end to, okay, now they do a little bit of everything, to now most of the tight ends nowadays are pretty much strictly wide receivers.
Right.
And he was still an elite guy throughout all of that. That total shift, and over a decade plus, he was an elite tight end. And yeah, that one really shocked me. I will say that. I'm just grabbing the list of finalists that didn't get in. It's a pretty good list, I'll say that. The Walter Payton Man of the Year was Hayward from Pittsburgh, Cam Hayward. The defensive end. Okay. Phenomenal. Yeah, Johnny just posted it there as well. Cam Hayward, Walter Payton Man of the Year.
And Johnny lives in the Pittsburgh area, and I think he voted for Cam Hayward at least 275 times. So I got it over the top. Congratulations, Mr. Hayward.
Yeah. Yeah, just grabbing the last couple names here for Hall of Fame snubs. I think, yeah, that's the last one. Okay. So the finalists that did not get in, remember there's 15 modern era finalists every year, only 5 of them get in. So the 10 that got snubbed this year, Antonio Gates, Jared Allen. That's another one. That's kind of surprising that Jared Allen, Dwight Freeney conversation there. I would have loved to be in the room for that one. That one would have been a lot of fun to be a fly on the wall for that discussion.
Yeah.
Rodney Harrison, another one that I think his time will come. Yeah. I didn't think he'd get in this year, but
not now. Yeah, he'll get in eventually.
Yeah,
it's kind of like John Lynch. Before John Lynch, there was Marvin Harrison. You want to talk about a guy that hit? That it's like you owed him lunch money or something. That's how
Rodney laid that hammer.
Yes, and he couldn't play in today's NFL. I mean, he just couldn't.
No.
But
he
was
one
fun
of that
to watch. Yeah,
major breed of guys that couldn't play today.
Yeah, the Chargers and the Patriots. I mean, he was incredible safety.
Yeah. Next one, Eric Allen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
He'll probably get in eventually, but it's going to be down the line though.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you think he gets in as a modern era guy or down the line as a senior guy?
Good corner, but down the line.
Yeah, I agree with that. Willie Anderson, the former Bengals left tackle. Hell of a player. Another guy I think will get in eventually.
Yeah.
He's just now starting to get the finalist spots the last couple of years. Before that, he was always just semifinalist, quarterfinals, that kind of stuff. So it seems like his time is coming. They're slowly moving him up the list. And then you look at just the tackles that have gotten in recently. A few years back, Jonathan Ogden, Joe Thomas, Tony Baselli. So that spot's kind of clearing up. It was kind of getting that logjam like the wide receiver spot is now and has been. And now it's starting to clear its way.
Those names you just said, I mean, you're not going to get in when you got Ogden and those guys. Baselli. I mean, come on. I mean, that's
Joe Thomas.
kind of unfair. Yeah, Joe Thomas.
Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna be waiting a little bit.
Yeah. The other offensive line finalist, Jari Evans, a guy that you Bucks fans know very well.
Mm.
And I believe he played for the Packers as well for a little bit.
Saints,
Not
Packers,
mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Either him or Carl Nix, one of those two Saints offensive linemen, went to the Packers for a little bit there. It was Jari Evans, yeah.
Yeah, and Carl Nix, he went to us, but what happened was he had a foot injury. I think he ended up retiring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Before we really got a chance to see him, see what he could do for us. And I'll never forget that year. That whole thing with the MRSA and Lawrence Tynes catching that MRSA and stuff, and the whole fiasco. That was Bucks past,
yeah.
We don't want to remember. So yeah, but yeah. Anyway, Carl Nix and Jakari Evans were pretty damn good on that Saints line, offensive line. Protected Breeze for so long. So
yeah, well, that's another guy I feel like eventually he'll get in. But when there's only 5 modern era guys, it's gonna take some time.
Yep. Agreed.
The next guy, this is one I'm very interested to get your thoughts on. Mm-hmm. Fred Taylor, the former Jaguars running back.
That's interesting. If what's his name? Terrell Owens, yeah. Not Terrell Owens. The running back for Denver. Forget his name. Terrell, yeah. If he could get in a short amount of time that he played, I mean,
yeah.
Fred Taylor, I mean, come on, you got to give him some love,
Yeah.
But that's interesting. We'll see how he does. Maybe he does get in eventually, but what's his prospects look like right now? Was this his first year eligibility or?
No, so he retired in 2010. So his first year of eligibility would have been 2015.
Okay, so it's been a while now. So
yeah, he's got going into year 10.
Okay,
include 15. Yeah, year 10. So he's got another 15 years before he's no longer a modern era finalist. Okay. So, probably another guy that eventually gets in. Because, I mean, Terrell Davis waited a while, too. So
Terrell Davis, yeah. True, and he didn't play that many seasons either, so...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fred Taylor played 13 years, so...
yeah.
Now,
I love Terrell Davis. I love Terrell Davis, but I just think when you don't play that many years, that's got to be considered,
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, I think you got to at least play a decade.
Or you've got to be and part of this could be my bias, but I don't think it is. Calvin Johnson didn't play a decade. I think he's a guy that's absolutely in. Patrick Willis is another guy that didn't play a decade and got his spot. I think Luke Kuechly's another guy.
Kuechly, no. When did he retire? Was it?
Kuechly's I think he's first.
Was he 2018?
Year eligible next year or the year after?
Was it 2018 or 2019 that he?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. Well, yeah, because he was in the same draft class as Levante.
Yeah.
So, okay, he didn't play. But see, Terrell Davis, though, that's kind of different. He only played, 4 or 5 years?
Is that really all he played?
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's like 6 or 7, something like that.
But even then, all those other guys played like longer 8 or 9.
Yeah.
95 to 01, yeah. Didn't play that long. 7 years, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think nurse Johnny put chat in. I think he's talking about Ocho Cinco, which that's an interesting one. That's borderline, but he was great back in the day. For Cincinnati, definitely consideration.
If you take strictly the Cincinnati section of his career, absolutely Hall of Famer. That was one of those guys where I was like, when he put the Hall of Fame jacket on, or the gold jacket on the sideline, I was like, okay, like talent-wise, yes. But let's see if you can hang on to it. And he didn't quite do that. But at his peak, absolutely a Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
Sean's in the house. Quack, quack, baby.
Oh, what's up, Sean? Thank you for tuning in. Say quack, quack, baby. Referencing Alec earlier and Justin Herbert. The next guy, Darren Woodson. That's the guy I feel should. Realistically, I'm kind of surprised he's not in already, but
I agree with that one. Yeah, I think he should be in as well.
And then the last two, part of this wide receiver logjam that continues to be there, Reggie Wayne and Torrey Holt.
Ooh, Reggie, I mean, I think you got to. I mean, he played with Peyton Manning. He had such great success with the Colts. That was Peyton's Robin to his Batman for so long.
Yeah.
And Torrey Holt, I mean, see, I like Torrey Holt. I think he's a great wide receiver. But is it more that he benefited from the greatest show on turf than anything else?
See, but is that the same argument for Reggie Wayne with Marvin Harrison? And Peyton Manning, for that matter.
But but with Torrey Holt, though, I mean, who else did he have? Yeah, it's a good point, I guess. I mean, that's fair.
I think that's the arguments against them, because for Andre Johnson, you had a long stretch of time in Houston where he was the only guy out there.
That's why I think he's definitely more deserving than a Holt or a Reggie Wayne, because he did make that offense, for the Texans, whereas Wayne and Holt benefited from Peyton Manning and Kurt Warner. So,
yeah. Well, I'm bringing up that name that list of first year eligible guys again for next year, just to kind of compare it with the finalists that didn't get in this year. There's some tough calls again next year. For those 10 finalists we just listed, the guys that are first ballot eligible next year: Eli Manning, Luke Kuechly, Marshall Yonda, another offensive lineman to add to that logjam there, Marshawn Lynch, Earl Thomas, Adam Vinatieri, Joe Staley, Clay Matthews, and then some other guys that kind of some cool names, but you won't see get in. One more that I think you will see in potentially first ballot next year: Terrell Suggs.
Oh, Terrell Suggs, absolutely. I don't think there's any question. Yeah.
And then the fun names: Darren Sproles, Cameron Wake, Ryan Khalil, Travis Frederick, Aqib Talib, Demaryius Thomas. That's a fun list of guys there. That's just 15 of the first ballot guys next year. Sean brings up a good point here. Another offensive lineman to get in, Joe Jacoby. He's a guy that's been waiting a long time.
Who did he play for? And
that's why I said he makes a good point. This is a guy that he's one of the better tackles of all time, and he's still waiting to get in. So putting your bias aside, I'll fight for you, Sean. Joe Jacoby's another guy that should get in.
Oh, I want to bring this up real quick. You mentioned Clay Matthews, right?
Yep.
What do you want to bet on the Pat McAfee show that him and AJ Hawk talk up Mr. Clay Matthews?
I think that's absolutely going to happen. And
and Aaron Rodgers being on that show is gonna.
And if he doesn't get in, you're gonna have Scott arguing again for that bias against the Rams again, because he finished his career with the Rams there. Scott, I just want to address that. There's no bias against your Rams. We can cut that shit out. Otherwise, the majority of the greatest show on turf would not be in. I think they're punishing Torrey Holt for being part of such a great group and him being the last one to get in. I think they kind of realized like, oh shit, that was a great group. Maybe it was just the fact that it was a great group. That being said, I do think Torrey Holt gets in probably within the next 2-3 years.
Mm-hmm.
If we're being realistic, but
well, as far as
such a good group next year too.
As far as Eli, I mean, he's getting in next year. I'm going to just say it right now. He's a Manning, and the Mannings are prominent on national TV. They got their own show, ESPN, most Monday Night Football. So he's the last name. It's going to be the narrative. He's going to get pushed in there. I know you.
My God.
What?
Here's my only question for you. So you off the names I've listed here, you said Eli's definitely in next year. Terrell Suggs is definitely in next year.
Mm-hmm.
So of the other 15 to 20 players I listed tonight, of the finalists and first ballot guys next year, you only have 3 more spots. And
flip a coin.
I was gonna say, to me, I think Luke Kuechly's a lock to go in, personally.
Yeah. I'm not saying that because I'm a Bucs fan and hate Carolina. I don't hate Carolina. Kuechly's great. Don't get me wrong. He was the core of that defense. Him and Star Lonnie, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Lele, yeah. I mean, and Peppers. I could see it. I think that's fair. I think first ballot's pretty fair. I mean, he was a very good linebacker. His career got cut short because of the injuries, the concussions. But man, okay. Now we got 2 more. So,
I was gonna say, for me, the argument for Luke Kuechly is the same argument I made for Calvin Johnson. Even though they didn't quite play a decade, that 8-9 years they were in the league, they were pretty much undisputed top 3 at their position pretty much the entire time. That to me, and the list of guys that were in the league the same time as him, Patrick Willis, Bobby Wagner, Levante David, those guys just at the middle linebacker position. Right. And he was essentially always top 3 and typically not 3. So, to me, that's a slam dunk guy. For me, it's Kuechly and Suggs. To me, I understand the argument for Eli with the Manning name. And for me, the biggest part of it outside of the Manning name is beating Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That to me is the big kicker, but I just
let me clarify.
Quarterback position.
Let me clarify. I'm not saying Eli should get in his first year. I'm saying I think it's going to happen because again, he's a Manning, and you brought up he took 2 more rings away from Tom Brady. He could have had 9. He could have had a whole 2 hands worth of rings if it wasn't for Eli. Yeah. So I think, and there's no other quarterback eligible yet, right? Other than Eli so he kind of now that's the thing, and the Hall of Fame, they want to get that quarterback in, especially if there's no quarterbacks that are on the way to coming up on their 5 years. Eli, I think, is the only one, right?
Yeah.
So
Johnny says Hall of Famer voters don't want Chad in due to his antics. And then said Kuechly's stats ran together with David's his entire career. That's what I mean. With David, with Wagner, with Patrick Willis for that small portion they were in the league together. All these guys were in that top 5 every year, and Kuechly was pretty much always at least top 3.
That's true. But Levante got the ring though, so
yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to throw that Bucs.
Johnny, this next season will be his 5th year out, which makes him first ballot next year. Because Daniel Jones was drafted in 2019, and they played together that full year. So he walked away after the 19 season. So 2021, 22, 23, 24 puts him first ballot for 2025. And Sean thinks they're going to wait to put Eli in until the youngest Manning plays.
Oh,
so you're
Cooper. Or not Cooper.
Arch. Yeah. So then you're saying second or third ballot is 2026, 2027. If you're talking when he just gets drafted, 2020, well, even that might be 2027, given that Sarkisian came out today and said there's no competition. Quinn Ewers is QB1. So Arch is sitting another year at Texas.
I don't think that's going to go very well with the Manning patriarchs, the Manning family there. I wonder if there could be a situation where it's like, okay, well, if you're going to play this guy, if I have to sit here I can just go anywhere I want. Right? NIL.
Arch seems good with it, though. That's the thing. That
surprises me a little bit. Maybe
I've been getting, and somebody brought this up in a group chat, and once I heard that, it was so spot on. If you watch Blue Mountain State, he kind of is giving real life Alex Moran vibes right now.
Wow.
Where it's just kind of like he's happy to just, especially with NIL, just collect that paycheck, hang out.
Could be. But you know what, though? Quinn Ewers has earned it.
Yeah.
He's earned that starting job. And plus, Texas could be a national title contender again next year.
Yep.
Why not go with the guy that, got you to the playoff this past year?
Yeah.
I mean, Sarkisian is a great coach. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Arch, but this is our guy. He's,
agreed.
He knows our system, and we feel comfortable with him leading us back to the college football playoff, especially now with the expansion of it, 12 teams. So, yeah, I can understand why Sarkisian's going to stick with Ewers, and rightfully so. I mean, but like you said, it is surprising a little bit that Arch Manning's kind of taking it pretty well,
Well, and especially there's a lot of change at the quarterback position in college football this year.
Yeah.
USC is going to have a new starter. North Carolina, Michigan, LSU. That was my big one where I was like, I'm kind of shocked he's not going there. Florida State, Oregon State, Oregon.
Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah. Yeah, because Cam Ward went there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For me, I was sitting there like, okay, come to Michigan. You can play Texas week 2. You can get back at them if that's what you want. Come on, we
Arch
play for the defending national champs. Yeah, come on, Arch. Come on, let's go. But no, it sounds like he's pretty content. I mean, at the what bowl did they play in? The Sugar Bowl. At the press conference stuff for that, when and that was the thing I found hilarious. There was one or two reporters talking to Quinn Ewers, the starting quarterback,
and the rest of them
Arch was flooded. And they kept asking him if Quinn comes back next year, are you staying? Are you transferring? He's like, no thought in my mind on transferring. I'm happy at Texas. I'll be staying at Texas. And it wasn't one of those ones where you got the impression oh, he's just spewing bullshit. He seemed pretty convicted in that.
But Alex, that's also could be a detriment because if you're somebody that's content, then you got to start to question, is this
how
guy
bad do you really want it?
Yeah. Or are you just in this because your last name's Manning and you're collecting this big paycheck from the NIL? You want a Quinn Ewers type of quarterback, wants it. He's like, dude, this guy, this Manning's trying to get my job. No, we're going to the Sugar Bowl this year, and we're one game away from the national title game. So,
and realistically, one play away. They get that touchdown at the end. They win that game.
Yeah. So I mean, should never be content. A quarterback should never settle for second. Right, exactly, John.
Yeah,
exactly right. I mean,
especially a guy that's been pinned as the first overall pick in the 2026 draft already by pretty much everyone. Before he even stepped foot on the campus in Austin, he was the first overall pick in 2026.
No, I don't see it. Unless he comes out and plays an absolute great year, whether it's Texas in 2025 or somewhere else, no,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it.
I don't
see
either.
it. But Texas, I think, is going to be very good next year too. I mean, especially going to the SEC, and I definitely got them in my top 5.
Yeah. Yeah,
Early on.
I definitely
Now
see
the
that.
team that played Texas, Washington, they're gonna, the new Arizona, the coach from Arizona, and then now he's bringing his quarterback to Washington, supposedly,
No,
right?
Fafita's staying. Fafita and McMillan, that star receiver running back, I can't remember which one he was. They both said like maybe a week after that, no, they're staying at Arizona.
And you know what? I think that's a good move.
Yep.
And listen, don't get me wrong. Washington going to the Big Ten, that's great. That's more exposure, but that's what I said with content. With Archman and Sophia, he wants to stay.
Yeah.
And because they feel like they got something special there in Arizona. So,
mm-hmm.
and I'll tell you, they're going to be great in the Big 12 next year. Wait, all those games against
Potential
Colorado.
Winner of the Big 12.
It could be, yeah, because Oklahoma and Texas are out of the Big 12 now. So it comes down to really,
Utah
or Kansas, perhaps. Possibly.
Yeah. Well, especially with Leipold staying there. I think that's massive for them to keep their head coach. And I think Jalen Daniels is still there, if I'm not mistaken. Jake Bean left, but I think Jalen Daniels is still there.
Oh, don't say that name, Bean. Man, he killed us against UNLV.
Yeah.
He killed us.
Yeah.
That just wasn't even fair, but no, props to him, though. That was a great performance in that bowl game. But yeah, Arizona, you talk about a great basketball program. They're building a great football program now. So that's good to see. I mean, and it's a shame that the Pac-12 is dissolving, because Arizona would be right up there next year with the Utah, Oregons, and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, this good for them though, staying put.
Yeah, and you brought up Washington. This is a guy, new head coach Jed Fish going in. Yeah. And of the 22 starters they had on offense and defense last year, you can count on one hand the number of starters they have returning. It's 2.
I get it. And listen, I know that the opportunity to get a better coaching job, it's there. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, I would have wished Jeff Fish would have stayed in Arizona, kind of build it, make it a top football program in the Big 12 for the next few years. But I get it. The lure of going to Washington, going to the Big 10, more money, you're in a bigger city now, Seattle, rather than Tucson. I get all that, but I just wish he would have stayed maybe another year or two at Arizona, built something special there. So
now the one, to me, the big red flag for Arizona is, if you remember back to partway through this season, or it might have been just before the season, there was talks of Arizona having to make budget cuts across their athletic department.
That's right, yeah.
So that, to me, if I'm a head coach of that program, is a scary proposition.
I hate to say this, Alex, but Arizona's always going to be a basketball school.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hard to blame them. I mean, Tommy Lloyd came from Gonzaga, has done a very good job with that, bringing back that program. I know this is a football show. I just want to explain it real quick. Sean Miller had those allegations, really brought that program down for a while. When they brought Tommy Lloyd in from Gonzaga, he coached with Mark Few for several years on his bench. He was a great coach in waiting. He's built that program back around. But my point is that Arizona's always prided themselves on basketball.
Yep.
That's it. Pretty much basketball and baseball and softball. Those are their sports there. Football's like kind of an afterthought.
Yep.
So if they're doing the budget cuts, which is not surprising, that's mainly going to be in certain areas. Football is probably one of them. So, yeah, it is kind of a red flag if you're Jeff Fish and, saying, okay, let me go here. This will be a this is a football school. I'll make more money. I'll build this up like I did in Arizona. So, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and I do have faith that Jedd Fisch will build Washington up. But, man, that is a tough task to do that with that many new starters, moving to the Big Ten. That's – and you're following what Kalen DeBoer did. So there's already expectations.
It's not easy. No, it's not easy at all.
Not at all. Now,
because that guy's going to Alabama now. You think Jeff Fisch has pressure on him?
Yeah.
The board's got more pressure on him, replacing Nick, the GOAT.
Yeah.
Nick Saban.
And in the SEC. Like, just.
I mean, hey, I'll give him credit. I will give him credit, man. He's got the balls to do that. Because, Alex, it's, guys like Gerard Mayo, it's going to be so tough because no matter what you do, you're always going to be that first guy that replaces the GOAT. You would rather be the guy that replaces the guy that replaced the GOAT.
Yep.
Because there's not as much pressure.
Because you're always compared to the guy before you.
Right. No matter how good you do, it's never going to be good enough. And, DeBoer and Mayo, even though it's NFL and college, they're going to find out firsthand. Like, you're going to hear that. You're going to hear that from the local press every single week. Like,
and from those jobs, you're going to hear from the national press too.
That too, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And fan base, and you'll hear that everywhere. Because you were trying to replace Bill Belichick and Nick Saban, the two GOATs of coaching at their respective levels.
Right. And in your situation at Michigan, Sherrod Moore, he's going to face that pressure because you're replacing arguably the top two greatest coaches in Michigan history. I'd put Harbaugh number 2 next to Schembechler number 1. Lloyd Carr, I got to drop down to 3. Harbaugh did better with what he had.
Well, and you look at what they walked into.
Right. And what also Lloyd Carr was a great promoter or recruiter as well. Charles Woodson.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, the GOAT.
Yeah.
And then I got to put what's his face? Brady Hoke. Brady Hoke, yeah. Number 4. He did beat Ohio State that one year. So
I agree with that. And it's funny that you beat Ohio State 1 year and you're the number 4 coach for the winningest program of all time. You beat Ohio State one time.
Remember the longest time Harbaugh couldn't do it?
Yeah.
I think I joked and said that one time to you or somebody, like, Hoke's a better Michigan coach than Harbaugh. At least
because he beat
Ohio State once.
Now, I will say that Ohio State team he beat does not classify against any of the Ohio State teams that Jim Harbaugh faced. I will say that. That Ohio State team was off the edge of that the penalties
and Tressel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, for everybody out there, if they're watching still, the documentary on the 30 for 30, the Youngstown boys, pretty damn good with Tressel and Maurice Claret. That was a very good. Explains a lot, what they went through and everything. I think Tressel went on to coach like Ohio University or did something in that area. Like,
I want to say you're right. I'll look it up here, but I think you're right.
But I got to put Urban Meyer over Tressel, even though I freaking hate the guy. But Urban Meyer won a national title. Well, Tressel did too. Actually, he did too. Never mind. But
Tressel didn't. He
did. I thought he did. So Ohio State, right? Miami.
Ohio State, yeah.
They beat Miami in the 2000.
Oh no! I was saying didn't coach Ohio or anything after that.
Oh, okay. I thought he went somewhere though.
Coached Youngstown State before.
Yeah, his hometown.
Ohio State.
Yeah, his hometown. Okay.
And then he was actually after he got canned from the Buckeyes, he was a consultant for the Colts for a year, and then walked away.
Oh, okay.
Did not know that.
Okay. Well, that's Ursay. I mean, he'll hire anybody.
No kidding.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
no, Urban is right up near the top of Ohio State coaches. As much as I despise the guy
Oh,
and how
God.
he's a dirtbag, but
Oh, yeah.
phenomenal football coach.
Yep. And if another documentary, The Swamp Kings on Netflix, if you haven't seen that, everybody, do check it out. I
Yeah.
did, even though I hate the guy. Very good documentary. And
Yeah.
I'll never understand how somebody like Tim Tebow could go to a place like that, play for a coach
Yeah.
like that. But it just shows you what, sometimes just that was a good match made in heaven that time,
Yeah.
No pun to Tim Tebow, the heaven thing, but two national titles. I mean, it's pretty impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
given
Well, I
that,
mean, and not just Urban Meyer, but you had Cam Newton, who was stealing stuff at the time. You had Aaron
the Pouncey
Hernandez.
brothers,
You
the
had the
Pouncey
Pouncey
brothers,
brothers. You
yeah,
had so many just a ragtag group of people that were essentially up to no good. Then you have just the ultimate do-gooder, Christian, Tim
yeah.
Tebow, and
And we can knock him all you want, but Tim Tebow, he had this. He had it
yeah,
in college. He had the heart. He had the determination. I mean, that guy trained hard. If you used to watch Swamp Kings, right?
yeah,
Nobody trained harder than Tim Tebow. Man. That guy,
oh yeah,
from the crack of dawn to late at night, that dude was an animal. He did not quit. I mean, I could see why he was so good.
he's one of the few guys that can get that big naturally. It's because
Yeah,
he just worked
right.
and worked and worked.
But humble at the same time too. He never let his ego get to him. Far back in the news. Ooh.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing some
Another
stuff
dick,
here.
another dick pic, or
No, it's actually in relation to Toby Keith. Said that he earlier today came out and said that he had a call with Toby Keith just a few days before he passed away, and Keith had said he quit chemo and whatever happens, happens. Essentially, is the short form of it.
Yeah, that God, Toby. Oh man, I hate to say it. I didn't really want to watch him the last few days. He just looked so different. I don't want to
Yeah.
remember him that way.
Yeah.
I want to remember the guy from 2000s.
Yeah.
That Toby Keith.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sad, man. Only 62 too. That's just man. But
tough.
Rest in peace to him.
No.
Yeah, it's funny because I was listening to some of his music this week. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, he was good, bro. I mean,
Yep.
his music was incredible. Yeah, so that's all I got. With Brett Favre, I don't know how that got related, but I guess, like you said, he was talking to him and stuff like that. So,
all right, let's do a quick Super Bowl preview here. Just kind of give our thoughts on the game, then we'll wrap it up for this week. Probably come back next week to just recap the game, and then we'll be kind of on and off throughout the off season. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the Super Bowl? Who do you think wins? How do you think it goes? What do you got?
I'm going to go 49ers. And, I think this is it for them. If they don't do it this time, that window slowly closing. They have a lot of decisions in the offseason. Their salary cap, the price you pay for having a great team.
Yeah.
I just feel like these comebacks. Sorry, I have to bring it up from a couple of weeks ago.
It is what it is.
And then they did it against Green Bay. It just shows you how great a team is. This team is resilient.
Yeah.
Kansas City, meanwhile, I'm thinking that loss to the Raiders on Christmas Day in Kansas City, I think it woke them up. Like, you know what? we're not going to let this happen again. And they've been on a mission ever since. And defensively, they're looking really good. They're looking really good. And that's what makes them so dangerous, because they don't have to always rely on Mahomes and Kelsey and Scantling and Pachenko and all those. If their defense can hold a very good offense like the Niners, they'll probably win. But I just feel like the Niners are just Shanahan's due. It's one of those games. Any other time I probably would pick KC, but maybe it's part of my bias because we want to see the Niners with this team that's been built, through the draft. Most of them have finally get it done. And you could argue, Alex, last year they could have won it last year, because if they didn't have Purdy get hurt, who knows? I mean, and we saw the Eagles just free fall from last year. So I don't know. This is going to be a great game. I'm going to go Niners. I'll go probably 24-20 type of game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And to me, I don't think Shanahan fucks this up like the rest of the teams in the AFC did this playoff. The Chiefs this season, their defense is amazing as it was. Their run defense is in the 20s. It is not good.
Yeah.
And you've got the best running back in the game, the offensive player of the year, Christian McCaffrey. Don't go after the strength of that defense. Don't test the secondary with Snead and McDuffie and Eric Reed and Bolton in the linebacking core and those guys. Don't fuck with them. Attack them up front where they're weak. Expose them in the run game. Impose your will with McCaffrey. And don't try and make Brock Purdy compete with Mahomes, because that is a losing battle.
And that's the thing, Alex. That's going to be the key. You don't have to have Purdy do too much, because you already got a great run game, a great offensive line. But I will say this, though. I think a guy they got to use more, the Niners, is Elijah Mitchell. They got to use him more. Don't put so much pressure on McCaffrey. You got the running back advantage, the two-headed monster. With the Chiefs, you got Pachenko, but then you got Edwards-Helaire, who's just free fall since his rookie year. But at the same time, that could make it dangerous, because this could be the one game Clyde Edwards-Helaire finally shows up and, the unexpected. We see this in a lot of Super Bowls, Alex. The guys you don't expect. And I said it on the Sean and Janae show Monday, when they asked us to pick our MVPs. I said I didn't pick a name. I just said it's going to be somebody that we don't expect that's going to play well. There's always that one. We had that when our Bucks won our first Super Bowl with Dexter Jackson.
Yep.
Kind of a big no name, but then he got a big deal in Cincinnati. Never heard from him again. Larry Brown with the Cowboys when they beat the Steelers. Great game. Signed with I believe it was the Bengals, or wait, it was somebody else, but never heard from him again. So the Raiders, that's who it was. Like, he signed with the Raiders and just never heard from him again.
Malcolm Smith, the same thing.
Yeah,
signed with the Raiders.
Yeah, just never heard from him. So
that's I like that.
I'm going Niners 24-20, and my MVP is somebody we don't expect.
Yeah. I'm going to go Niners 27-24. I do think the MVP is going to be CMC. Just because even though we've seen time and time again it go to that no-name guy, you look at the last few MVPs, it's been Mahomes, it's been Cooper Kupp, it's been more big-name guys recently. Even though, you look at it, I believe it was Brady got the MVP of the Falcons game, or was it Brady that year that got it, or was it Edelman that year?
I think it was Edelman, wasn't it?
I'll
have to look it up. But one of those guys.
Maybe it's one of the earlier Patriots Super Bowls I'm thinking of, but it was the running back's name was Jonas Gray. That popped off, had a really good game, and he didn't get Super Bowl MVP. He got passed up. So I think there's while I could see one of those lesser known guys, like, I mean, for San Fran, a Jawan Jennings, someone like that, get it. I think with how the run game's gonna have to be used to beat Kansas City in this game, I think it's CMC.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be a really good game. Come down to the I think a Moody field goal at the end is what wins it personally.
You got Moody and Townsend, right? Those are your
Yeah.
two not Townsend. Bucker. Yeah, Townsend's their punter.
Yeah.
Never mind. Yeah, I get them mixed up. Bucker and Townsend.
I think this is going to be a phenomenal game. I really do. Two really good defenses. One of the best offenses in football against the best quarterback and the best head coach currently in football. And yeah, I don't know. It's funny because every time I've talked about this, immediately I go to the 49ers for my pick. And then the way I explain the game to people, I almost talk myself into the Chiefs. From why am I doing that? I think the 49ers are going to win.
And Alex, I think a lot of the thing is too, I almost did pick the Chiefs because it's just one of those things where this could be Reed's last game.
Yeah.
Especially if he wins. It could be Kelsey's last game, especially if he wins.
Yeah.
So there's a lot at stake here. And I can tell you this, if the Chiefs win, like you said, I agree with you. Andy Reid's going to retire.
Yeah.
Kelsey's going to propose because it's the biggest stage in the world.
You think if they win, then you propose?
Come on. I mean, the world's going to be watching you. What better time to propose? It's almost like Taylor can't say no, right?
Well, yeah, you can't say no at that point. Right. The guy just won the Super Bowl. He's getting down on a knee to propose. You can't say no in front of millions and millions of people.
Yeah. So I mean, but I just think the Niners know this is really their last shot because you got Mahomes. You're always going to have a chance every year. Whereas with Brock Purdy, you don't know if he's going to be your future or not. It depends on how he plays, And I always believe that's the one thing that's kept the Niners from winning a Super Bowl has been the quarterback position.
Yep.
Garoppolo couldn't get him over the top. Purdy got hurt last year. We got to see how Purdy does in a Super Bowl,
Yeah.
I mean, now you do have Sam Darnold as the backup. God forbid if anything happens to he's got the experience. But I think if the Niners don't do it this time, they need to maybe look into a quarterback.
Yep.
Not like a rookie, but like a veteran that can.
I think you swing for the fences and go for a Kirk Cousins, someone like that. I think Kirk in that offense would do wonders.
Yes, definitely. So, but again, if the Niners do win it, you don't have any worries because Brock can be
out there. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's under another contract. Is it for one more year or because he's Mr. Irrelevant? So 2 more.
Every draft pick's 4, and then first round you have the 5th year option.
Okay, so with his second year already, you got 2 more years. I mean, that's some good.
You can't even extend them till the end of the next season, anyways. You can't extend till after the 3rd year.
So that would help the Niners tremendously because then you're not worried about because you already got a Super Bowl with them. You're not worried about having to go draft or get another big name quarterback in free agency. So I can't wait. This is going to be a great game. We need to get the Sunday. It can't come any faster. So
I'd almost argue with what you've been saying about the Niners here.
Mm-hmm.
I almost disagree with your take on the Chiefs. I think their window's closing too. So you look at it, if they lose Kelsey and Reed, Chris Jones is a free agent that doesn't sound too keen on returning. That's your best defensive player. Your best offensive player outside of Mahomes. You've got 2 offensive tackle spots you need to fix, the wide receivers, and your best weapon. I think there's going to be some glaring holes there if Kelsey and Reed leave. I think they're covering up a lot of issues, and Chris Jones for that matter.
And that's a very fair statement, Alex. I mean, no doubt about it. I just – but when you have if Mahomes wins Sunday, bro, I mean, I think we got to start to have that conversation about Brady may be up here, but Mahomes may be a little bit getting up there.
I'm gonna say I think
that goat talk.
I think you start to have that discussion of Mahomes with like Montana and Manning. I think he's past everyone else, especially if he wins.
Oh, I think
if
he's
past everyone else.
If he wins this one, he's past Manning. Both Mannings.
See, I personally have Peyton at my number 2, so that's why I say there's the discussion there.
But to do it in a short amount of time,
yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
And Peyton did have
4 appearances in 5 years.
Yeah, and Peyton had a lot of didn't have great playoff success early on either.
Yeah, very true.
So, yeah, that's if Mahomes wins.
Yeah.
If he wins his third one, we got to have those discussions. I mean, but going back to what you're saying about the window being closed, I just think if you have somebody like Patrick Mahomes, you're going to compete every year because he's that good.
Yes. I think the Super Bowl window closes, but I think that's a team that's still consistently in the playoffs.
Right. But I think they would be on better footing than the Niners because the Niners have a lot of free agents coming up. They're going to have to release some players because of the cap.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of money. So they're going to have kind of a new team themselves in a way.
Yeah.
In
the weaker conference.
Weaker conference. True. That's true. Yeah. Now, my worry with the Niners, Alex, and I've said this when this happened against the Bucs, Tafanga getting hurt and being out for the year, that's a big loss.
Yep.
Now, it hasn't affected him yet, but if they get to a place on Sunday where he's, they're throwing in that direction, that could be a huge loss. That could
especially with someone like Kelsey.
Yeah, because Tafanga's he's one of the best tackling safeties in football.
Yep.
And I felt like you guys could have done more in that game, attacking the middle of the field, and you didn't. Now, early on,
the running game in the first half, you saw they couldn't tackle for shit.
Right, yeah, and it's hard to make adjustments when it's going so well, but Laporta, I think, could have been used a little bit more.
Yep, I agree.
Because again, that's where Tafanga's at. He's your modern day Polamalu.
Absolutely he is.
Good. I just hope that doesn't hurt the Niners in this game. So, and I think is he a free agent or is he I think he's got another year left with the Niners.
I want to say one more year. I'll take a quick look here.
I know they got a lot of free agents coming up. And there's going to be a lot of money they're going to have to cut.
Hufanga is one more year.
One more year, okay.
Yeah, but I know Chase Young's gone. He's out the door. They're not bringing him back. I would strongly guess that he's gone. Let's see who they got for upcoming free agents. If it'll load. And it froze. Okay. But you're right. They do have a lot. For me, while the Chiefs don't necessarily have a lot of free agents, it's the free agents they have. I believe Valdez-Scantling's a free agent. Chris Jones. L'Jarius Sneed's another one I forgot about. He's a free agent. Yeah. So that's arguably your 2 best players on defense could be out the door. I think both these teams have a lot of change coming. And it's going to be how they handle that. That decides how long that Super Bowl window actually stays open.
Yeah, and the better quarterback's Mahomes. That's why I give the Chiefs a better chance than the Niners do. But
to me, I give the Niners the chance strictly that, not even that conference, that division that the Chiefs are in.
Let's not sleep on the Rams. They're making a small little comeback. I didn't think this year would be. I thought this would be the rebuild year. I thought this was a 5-12, 6-11 type team, but they went to the playoffs. They
He
kept
gave
it
us
close.
everything we could handle. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so they're going to be tough. Seattle, Mike McDonald, what a hire
I
that
think
is.
that's a phenomenal hire. I thought he was locked into Washington personally. I was
Oh
shocked when
man,
he didn't end up there.
but that's the Pete Carroll effect. They want that defensive guy that
Mm-hmm.
that's what they pride themselves on.
Yep.
So they're going to be. If Kyler Murray can stay healthy, think about this: if Arizona gets Marvin Harrison Jr., oh my god,
Yep.
dude! I mean, he's got his weapon. I
Yeah.
mean,
He's got his D hop
so
all over again.
that division could be tougher than you think next year. It really could.
See, and I think you give it a couple of years, and that division's back to being one of the absolute best in football.
Yeah.
And I mean, we talked about the AFC West earlier. I think that's the best division in football this coming year. That's where I think the difference is. I think both Seattle and Arizona need a couple years to get rolling here. And then I think once they do, if they continue on the path they're both on, then they're top tier teams again. And I think the Rams, they got to find their successor to Stafford. But I think after that, they're locked and loaded still, as long as McVay's there as well.
Agreed. Agreed.
So I think that division as a whole is a real problem in the future. The difference is the AFC West is a problem. Well, everyone expects it to be a problem now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's fair. I agree with that. And I still think the AFC North is going to be great, especially if Burrow gets back, healthy and
him, that was
Lamar.
What, a 9-10 win team without Burrow for half the year, over half the year.
Yeah, and they missed the playoffs. They were 9-8.
Yeah.
That's what a shame, man. Burrow getting hurt like that. I hope that's not a problem in the near future because the knees and stuff, well, this one was different, but the wrist.
Yeah, this one was wrist, though, yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be our division's going to stink. Let's just be real. I mean, the Falcons are, although
they get a quarterback.
Raheem Morris scares me a little bit. Yep. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm happy he's getting the second opportunity because I think it's long overdue.
Yep.
And Atlanta looks like the right place for him.
Yep.
He's got that experience. He's not that young guy anymore that just was, handed a job. He's earned it. And
it's a guy already comfortable with the building and the facilities and everything.
Yeah.
The owner already has that tie and that connection there.
Right. And he's coached both sides of the ball, Alex.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the amazing part about this guy. So it's going to be, they worry me, the Falcons, if they get a quarterback and they use Drake London more. I mean, God, you got a great receiver in Drake London. I mean, Kyle Pitts, if you can ever develop that guy, oh my God, like Algier and Bijan Robinson, that good offensive line, that's going to be scary, dude.
And I don't think a wide receiver's out of the question at 8 there either.
No, they can get from Washington, the kid from
Romo Dunze. Yeah.
Dunze. God, depending on the quarterback, they got it. Ritter's gone. Not your answer. Heineke's gone too. You got to. Do they go quarterback at 8? Or I don't think so.
To me, I think they're going to swing and try and get Kirk or Russell Wilson, one of those guys. I think they're going to go the veteran route if they can. And then, because most of the roster is locked in, you've got about 30 mil to play with after the money set aside for draft picks, which is that perfect slot to get a Wilson, a Cousins, someone like that.
Who do you trust more?
Kirk. From what I've seen recently, it's absolutely Kirk.
Same, although they want that excitement.
Yep.
Russell Wilson brings that excitement. But I'd rather go Cousins because he's a guy that's got a great arm. He good decision maker at times, you know.
Yep.
And I'm just not in the Russell anymore. I just think that he's past his prime. I mean,
Yep.
he gets hurt too much, gets tackled. He's slower, and the decision making is not always there. I know they had that nice little win streak, you know, starting in Buffalo and that field goal win, and they went on a roll. But like you said, I think Cousins would be the guy. Although my feeling is Minnesota might resign him one more year or something.
Now, the only reason why I'm less and less inclined to think so is he was pretty heavily looking outside already this offseason. He had pretty much flat out said, if Bill Belichick gets a job, like, I'm not passing up an opportunity to play for Belichick. Like, he's been talking about other jobs already. So that's where I'm less inclined to think the Minnesota route. And I don't know that Minnesota's going to have the money to get him. Because, I mean, you got to give Jefferson an extension right away.
Yeah.
Both Danielle Hunter and DJ Wanham, their starting pass rushers, are both free agents. Darisaw needs an extension right away, that phenomenal left tackle. Hawkinson just got his big extension. I think personally, if I'm Minnesota, I trade up for one of the quarterbacks. I try and get into that top 3, get one of the quarterbacks. I use my money on trying to get a Saquon Barkley, a Derrick Henry, like a power running back to lean that running game on for a rookie quarterback.
So you don't think they'll go with what's his name anymore? The running back. What's his name? I forget it's not Addison, but like
that's Alexander Madison.
Madison, that's who it is. Yes.
No, I don't think he's their guy because, well, one, he's a free agent again as well, and two, if he was their guy, I don't think they bring in Cam Akers halfway through the season and start to use Ty Chandler more. I think if he was your guy, he's your guy, and it was pretty clearly a rotation at the end of the year. So I think you try and get one of those rookie QBs, or at 12, 13, wherever you're at there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that bad of an idea for someone like Minnesota to take a Bo Nix, a guy that's pretty much ready to go.
Yeah.
And I think Bo Nix with Kevin O'Connell, I think that's a great fit.
I was going to say, yeah, O'Connell you would know how to use a guy like Bo Nix too.
And you get one of those top tier running backs in free agency. And I think that makes Minnesota dangerous again. You have Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson there, a really good offensive line, a top tier running back, one of the best tight end rooms in the league, and a phenomenal defensive coordinator in Brian Flores that did a lot with a little last year. And you can use pretty much the rest of the draft to just rebuild that defense. And then I think Minnesota is very dangerous again next year.
Maybe a Michael Penix, or is that a reach?
I don't think Michael Penix is going first round anymore. There was discussion going into the Senior Bowl about whether or not he was a first round guy. And he chose to sit out the Senior Bowl game for fear of getting injured. He pulled himself, perfectly healthy, said, I don't want to get injured, I'm stepping out.
Yeah, it's the knees. That's what's going to keep him from being a top.
And he's got bad shoulders too.
Man. The talent's there, Alex. It's there.
Absolutely it is.
But like you said, the red flags you can see the red flags on his knee and his shoulder, bullseyes, like, okay. But going back to Atlanta. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say with Atlanta, God, I hate to say it, and we've both talked about Justin Fields. I mean, could we?
If Chicago takes a quarterback, I think if you're Atlanta, you absolutely call for a Fields.
Yeah. No, I don't know. If I'm Chicago, I would not take a quarterback first pick. I would trade down, get more picks, build around them, see what you got from one more year. Maybe take a quarterback in rounds 4 or 5, and then. But if they do somehow take a quarterback, then yeah, if Atlanta, you absolutely have to go after Justin Fields.
Me personally, if I'm Chicago and I already know that I'm out on Fields, if they don't think Fields is the guy, you try and talk Washington into moving up that one spot that they seemingly want to consider doing.
Take Caleb, yeah, number 1 for Washington.
And you slide down that one spot and take Drake May.
And you get an extra pick.
Yep.
First round pick in 2025.
Yeah.
That's tempting, but with those two guys, no. I don't trust. See, Alex, I'm a guy who, if I have that number 1 pick, I want to trade it.
Yeah.
Get some pieces.
Yeah.
You know, because now the Bucks had that situation in 2015. I get it. I understood why we took Jameis. But that was more of a Florida State Bucks fan trying to please the ticket seller kind of deal. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm one of those fans that if you have that number 1 pick and you just build around it. You trade down, you build around rather than, because there's no guarantees this one guy is going to save your franchise. Caleb Williams and Drake May are not franchise-saving quarterbacks, in my opinion, right
now. And to me, them and Jaden Daniels, all three of them, I think, are guys that could be those guys. But they haven't necessarily shown to be those guys yet. Where you had guys come out, for example, in Andrew Luck, that it was this guy day one is turning your franchise around. Peyton Manning was that same thing.
Right.
Trevor Lawrence is the closest thing we've had since then to that.
He's regressed. I think he regressed.
That's why I was like the closest thing. Because to me, there hasn't been that surefire franchise changer since Andrew Luck.
Yeah. I'm still kind of pissed at the Colts organization for allowing what could have been a Hall of Famer. You couldn't build a line around that guy.
Yeah. I mean, you did it right after he left. So you clearly could have done it.
Yeah. But no, we'll just let him get sacked 50, 60 times a year and him retire early. So what a shame. What could have been.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, I'm still in the mindset that we saw Fields progress near the end of the year. You're getting a big time improvement at offensive coordinator in Shane Waldron. I think Getsy was a major issue.
Now he's with the Raiders.
I think Shane Waldron massively improves Justin Fields this year. I would use, if I'm Chicago, I try and talk Washington into trading from 2 to 1, and then I look to trade that second pick again to somebody trying to get Drake May, whether it's in Atlanta, a Minnesota, a Vegas, a Denver, someone like that, trying to get up to get a quarterback. See if you can move down again, because then you also have the 9th pick.
There you go.
And
get John Alt.
Yeah. Well, I think Alt's going 7. I've got Alt.
You don't think he goes that high?
Well, if you stay up that high, I think you take Alt. I think Alt's the first tackle off the board, and I think that's. Yeah. I don't understand the talk on Olu Fashanu being one of the top tackles. I think to me he's like 4, personally, on tackles. I'm not as high on him as most people are. Joe Alt to me is far and away number 1. I think the latest he gets picked is Tennessee at 7. I don't think he gets past the Titans. I really don't.
Oh, yeah, because you got to have somebody for Will Levis. Levis. Yeah, absolutely.
And then your left side is Alt and Peter Skronsky. That is a great young left side of your offensive line. And then you can build the rest from there. To me, I think one of those picks is an offensive player, and one of those picks is a pass rusher. I think, and I'm in the unpopular opinion, I think the first pass rusher off the board is Dallas Turner from Alabama.
Okay.
That would be my. I don't necessarily think he's the best one. To me, it's still Jared Verse is the best pass rusher. I would actually put Dallas Turner as third. I would put Leatu Latu from UCLA second. But I think just, and especially looking at a Chicago where you have Montez Sweat on that other side, that very, very good pass rusher. Dallas Turner's a guy. He was athletic enough that last year there were times he was actually an off-ball linebacker playing an outside backer spot. He's a great run stopper, great athletic pass rusher. I think that's a guy that would do phenomenally opposite of Montez Sweat. So I think Chicago, that's the better fit. And then me personally, if Joe Alt's sitting there, I think you take him. Otherwise, I don't mess with that offensive line. I think it's a good young offensive line. I think you get one last weapon for Justin Fields, personally. Or you wait till the middle rounds and just load up on a couple wide receivers, because I think this is a very deep receiver class.
That's true.
Maybe get two difference makers for the defense right away. Get a Dallas Turner and a corner, because this is a very good corner class in the first round. I think there's, in my opinion, there's like 7-8 corners that could go first round. I don't think all of them do. I think there's going to be some great finds in the second round at the corner position, but there's some very good corners in this draft.
Yeah, I think that's the best approach. I mean, because again, I can't put all my chips on a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. Especially when you got Fields, who I'll admit has improved. You want to see what you have just for one more year. Now, if it doesn't work, then okay. Although the quarterback class is probably not going to be as good next year as this coming year, so it's risky. But at the same time,
there's still going to be some good ones. Like you'll have Quinn Ewers is probably the top guy, in my opinion.
Okay.
If they take the training wheels off him at Penn State, Drew Aller is a phenomenal prospect at quarterback. You have Shedeur Sanders. You have Dylan Gabriel is the one I was thinking of. Cam Ward. Like there's some solid guys, but there's not the top end talent like there is in this class. I think there's a lot. I think there's probably 5 or 6 quarterbacks that if they were in next year's class are the top guy.
And Colorado, please get an offensive line.
I'll be shocked if they don't have their offensive line this year, because in the transfer portal they got I want to say it was somewhere like 7 or 8 of the top 15 offensive linemen in the portal. So they went to work on building that offensive line. Let's see if it pays off, though.
If Shedeur wants to have any kind of career after college, you need to protect that guy.
Yeah.
I've never seen a guy get so ragtag. I mean, it was like a dog chewing on a toy, That's
how slaughtered week in and week out.
Sanders was the toy, that the dog was wrangling his. I mean, I just felt bad, man. God damn, and his dad knew, I gotta protect the fun, man. It's not going to work.
I've never seen a coach in a press conference, be not just call out his offensive line, be like, the first thing I'm doing this offseason is getting an offensive line because I don't have one. I was like, damn.
It's football 101, trenches.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. So, but anyway, so we'll see what happens with these drafts. This coming draft should be a really good one.
Yeah. And I mean, the entirety, the draft, free agency, the trades that are bound to happen. I think this sets up for a really fun offseason once again.
Oh, yeah. NFL's always going to have fun off seasons, Alex. I mean, it's shown it the last several years. So I'm ready, man. I'm ready to go. NFL's never an off season. There's always going to be something where you have the free agency, you have the combine. Although I'm not a big combine fan, I'm not going to lie to you. It's just
I used to be more of a combine guy. Now it's just like
just window dressing.
There's certain things, like for me, it's not the 40, the bench press, all those. To me, it's what I watch is the drills. Mainly footwork is what I watch at the combine. For me, it's the linemen. Do they keep their feet moving when they're hitting those blocks? The corners, how well do they flip their hips in the drills where they're flipping from one side to the other? Quarterbacks watching the drop backs. Like, I'm pretty much just watching footwork. The rest of it, there's not much to it, but there's always something you can take away from anything. But most people don't take the right stuff away from the combine. I will say that.
Agreed. But if I wanted to watch footwork, I'd go to the Rex Ryan, soon to be defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys press conference. Yeah, like other than that, no, I'm not interested.
Oh, did you see they hired their DC?
Oh, is it Zimmer? That's right. So
yeah,
Rex
they
Ryan,
got Mike Zimmer. Yeah.
Okay, Rex.
I think that's a great hire.
It is. He's 67 though. That's kind of old for a defense, but he loves football. So
they got a GM that's like 82 though, so it kind of makes sense.
Dallas, man.
Yeah. Now, I think that pretty much locks in either the draft or free agency. Dallas is going heavy at the linebacker position. Mike Zimmer has always been heavy on the linebacker position in his defenses. Yeah. Now it'll be interesting to see if Micah Parsons is still kind of that Swiss Army knife, a little bit of linebacker, a little bit of edge rusher, or if he's just kind of strictly one or the other.
Now, let me throw this one at you. With Zimmer loving his linebackers, we got one in Tampa who's pretty much out the door already. Devin White.
Yeah.
Not going to command too much money, but bring him in. He's that diva. Yeah. Jerry loves his divas, so that kind of makes sense. I mean,
to me, the one I'm pinpointing draft-wise, if they go linebacker in the first round, it's either Jeremiah Trotter Jr. from Clemson or Peyton Wilson from NC State, the guy that won the Bednarik, I believe, the Defensive Player of the Year for college.
Okay.
I think Peyton Wilson would be a phenomenal fit in Dallas.
Yeah, I could see that. that.
It's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens with this offseason. As far as the shows go for this offseason, we're not going to do every week this offseason. We're gonna kind of let some things build up. If something big happens, obviously that week we'll be on to talk about it. We'll be on kind of around the combine. That's where franchise tags and that kind of stuff come into effect. Obviously during free agency, the first little bit we'll probably be on every week, and then after that we'll be on or be off and on until the draft. After the draft schedule release, we'll be on, and then just kind of off and on every couple weeks. We'll come on, do some predictions, that kind of stuff. But we won't be on every week because there's not something to talk about every week, or enough to talk about to kill that much time. So yeah, we'll be on probably every other week would be my guess.
That's cool. Part. No problemo. I mean, but once we get into the NFL season, the training camp,
then we're back to every week. Yeah.
Then too bad. You're gonna get us every week, whether you like it or not.
I guess probably realistically from the start of free agency till the draft will probably be every week, just because there's enough going on there. And then so for the next month and a half-ish, it'll be every other week. Then every week for about a month and a half, and then every other week for a couple months, probably.
From May to June, it'll be like kind of that. Period. Yeah.
So,
but real quick before we get off the air, I want to say congratulations to my Golden Knights who ended.
The
Oilers.
That was Aiden Hill had a hell of a game
on Tuesday. Shout out to Kyle Yacey. I had
Yeah.
to. You know, like I was getting tired of Edmonton winning 16. We were going to do it in our house, so you know we had to do what we had to do. You know.
Yeah, fair.
And then your Red Wings, you got they're in the playoff hunt, so
Yeah, hopefully
pretty
it
good.
continues.
Well, Detroit, I mean, come on, man, you got the Lions already, you got
Yeah,
Red Wings. Hopefully, maybe the Tigers. I don't know, but we'll see how they do.
it's a weak division, so maybe we'll see.
I agree. It's a weak division. Like
Yeah,
I think the Twins are going downhill. I think the White Sox are downhill.
yeah,
Royals are always downhill. So
yeah.
the Guardians,
They're hit or miss.
they're hit or miss. So
Yeah,
and now
the
that you got
division's totally up for grabs.
yeah, you got 6 teams in the playoffs each year in each league. So
Yeah,
dude, get it,
yeah.
get it,
Here's open.
make it happen. Yep.
Yeah. All right. That's all we got for this week. Yeah, might be on next week to talk Super Bowl. We'll keep everyone posted about that. Otherwise, it'll be 2 weeks from now. Yeah. So either this week or next, either the 15th or the 22nd, looking at it, we'll be back on. Until then, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you then.